This is Hidden Killers Week in Review.
A look back at the most prolific stories of the week.
This is Murder in the Morning with Tony Brueski and Stacey Cole.
You have a habit of adding things to witnesses' answers. And when you do that, this is the judge in the trial of Lori Vallow Daybell saying this. When you do that, it's a form of testifying. Judge Brueski told Lori Vallow Daybell in the final moments of the trial the other day as the court wrapped up after a marathon of cross-examination, autopsy details, and crime scene photos. By the time court adjourned at 4:34, Lori had spent hours at the podium cross-examining Chandler Police Detective Daniel Cross, trying to challenge the state's version of how Charles Vallow was shot and killed. It was her chance to unravel details about bullet trajectories, the positioning of shell casings, and whether her brother Alex Cox could have plausibly been where he claimed when the shots were fired. Coons held firm. The bullet trajectories were consistent with Charles being shot while lying on the floor, one bullet embedding in a baseboard, the shells just inches from the wall, and the .45 caliber semi-automatic ejected to the right, not left, like Lori suggested might have mattered. At one point, Lori veered into the realm of firearms training, asking if center mass is what police are taught to aim for. Coons confirmed yes. It's about stopping the threat. Then she asked if novice shooters are taught the same. He said no. It was a brief window into the angle she seemed to be aiming for. But she was aiming a different direction. Though the judge...
I think novices would be taught that as well, though. Wouldn't you think? Because I immediately started nodding my head like, yeah.
Like, what do we mean by novices? Like, we're at the gun class? Or what are you talking about, Lori? Is kind of where I go. Like, what context is this thing? Because she speaks whatever she comes to her mind that nobody else knows where her mind is at. And a lot of times she just sits there and questions. Quite honestly, it's been a fairly boring trial thus far. I'm waiting for zombies to get introduced. Then I'll get more excited.
Oh, I hope they do.
Well, we know the state is going to go down the road of, what's the prophet guy's name? The Nephi. Yeah.
Yeah.
You down with Nephi?
Cute name for a cat.
Be interesting because they're going to go down that road, and because in the opening arguments they went down that road, that it was this weird religious, diabolical thing. So it's going to get introduced, and I wonder how triggering that's going to be for Lori. Like, is she going to be able to resist? Because so far, at least as of this recording, she hasn't gone down the religious path, and she's kept it pretty straight to questions, even though her line of questioning makes little to no sense.
Yeah.
I'm waiting. I'm wondering, because I think we're going to get there, especially when the state goes up and does cross on some of these witnesses. She'll have a chance to come back and do more. And I just wonder how much she's going to try and go into what these people's belief system is and use it as a platform to talk about her craziness, or as she calls it, religion. Because she's already said in an interview just the other day that she views that her path in life is now to help these women behind bars and preach to them and, kind of show them the way. So it's like Lori's starting a cult behind bars.
That's frightening to me.
She's working on it. She is working on it. She really is, judging by that interview. The judge regularly reminded her to keep her own commentary out of the questioning. Photos of the home were admitted, over 100 of them. Exterior shots, the front door, a Reebok hat on the floor, blood pooling around Charles' body, a bat nearby, projectiles and baseboards, bullet casings marked with yellow place cards. And in one particularly dramatic moment, a chunk of flooring was presented in court. It had been cut out to preserve a mark that investigators said was made by a bullet passing through Charles' body. Lori objected to some of the photos being admitted, but was mostly overruled. The judge said the images helped the jury visualize the scene. She used some of the same photos in her cross, trying to push back on Coons' conclusions, asking if divots in walls or trajectories could have occurred differently. if maybe the shooter wasn't where Combs said. He stood his ground. Earlier in the day, Chandler Fire Captain Kent Keller testified about Charles' condition when the medics arrived. Lividity and skin modeling were always setting in at this point. His pupils were fixed, no electrical activity in the heart. CPR was initiated but quickly deemed futile. According to Keller, there was no indication anyone had attempted life-saving efforts before the fire crew arrived. The position of Charles' body, the small pool of blood, and the condition of his skin all suggested death had occurred sometime before. Lori pressed Keller hard on the science of lividity and modeling. Could it happen in just a few minutes? Would medication change how the body looked? She floated the idea that maybe CPR had been done, just not effectively. Keller and another paramedic named Cowden said they saw no signs of it. In fact, they testified that effective CPR would have caused more bleeding. Blood would have been forced out by the compressions. There just wasn't any aside from the pooling underneath. At one point, Cowden described performing CPR while another EMT prepared the heart monitor. He said Charles was found with a baseball bat and ball cap nearby, but no one else was in the room. The house was otherwise empty, aside from officers clearing it. His account was backed up by Keller, who described the scene as calm, with the main objective being to assess, perform CPR, and confirm the lack of vital signs. The other day, Lori tried to walk the line between playing defense attorney and defendant. She questioned procedure, timing, blood patterns, CPR protocols, scene diagrams, what sort of Lunchables everybody has. Just random shit. It wasn't the Lunchables.
Oh, very random.
But we could have gone there. But the judge frequently reminded her about courtroom boundaries. When she asked whether someone had spoken to the media, the judge called for a sidebar. When she objected to Kuhn's expert testimony, the judge ruled against her but gave her space to cross-examine thoroughly. As court neared the end, a small issue arose. Subpoenas had been sent by the defense to detectives, but without contact info. The judge told Lori to have her investigator handle it. Also, she was reminded to flag any photo exhibits she needed by the following morning. So it's going well. It's going great.
There were so many sidebars. Like, I feel like this is kind of, I don't know, they're teaching her law while she's in court on trial. And I'm just waiting for this moment when she's going to take the stand. I mean, I feel like we are at the point where she's going to be sitting on the stand. She's going to run out and face, allegedly, herself, ask the question, then run back into this and sit down and answer the question. I know that's not how it's going to go. They're going to have her present questions beforehand. But I feel like the craziness of that is exactly how it's going to feel.
If she testifies, and that's an if.
I almost think she has to. Don't you?
Yes and no, because if she testifies, it opens up the road to every bad act. It opens up the court to talk about JJ and Tylee.
Right.
It opens up the door to everything in the previous trial and her convictions. And if you're Lori Vallow Daybell, you don't want that out there. So you got to find a way to handle this. And I don't know that there is a way. I don't know that there's any path to do that because everything is just too intertwined. And I think she's going to screw up beforehand anyhow. I think it'll be brought up even before she takes the stand. I think she'll somehow introduce it in some way, shape, or form. And then it'll be able to be discussed. At the end of the day, I don't think she has a chance in hell at winning this anymore. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you have to prove conspiracy here, but they got the texts. They got the shit. It's going to be, I think, sometimes a matter of the jury finding and translating her transient being type talk or magical talk of Nephi and this we're going to be like Nephi and we're doing this, for the right reason or whatever the hell they say. Because they never, I mean, as far as I'm aware, like say, let's kill the kids. It's more like this is, it's the mission of God to whatever, and however they word it, that's not saying kill the kids, but essentially means we're going to kill the kids.
Yeah, they have to go into the afterlife to get to.
Or kill Charles because he's Ned, because he's been taken over by the demon Ned. That's all going to get in there, and it's going to show just how crazy she is, because she will, if she does take the stand, all that's going to be up for questioning.
Oh, it would have to be.
And
it would have to be.
It's
the issue here at hand. Which, again, why is she on trial? She doesn't think any of this is wrong. She is not living by our cultural norms that you don't kill your children.
Mm-hmm.
She thinks that this all plays into her afterlife, and she doesn't see anything wrong with it. So she's operating under these instructions in her brain that this is what you do.
Yeah.
You guys are persecuting me for something that I need to do.
She's smarter than the rest of the room. Everybody else doesn't know what they're talking about. And it was a family tragedy, as she said. It was a family tragedy. It was that Colby can testify, because I was talking about this earlier with Bob about, well, who can testify? Who was there in that house? Because, Alex is dead. Charles is dead. Tylee is dead. JJ, I don't know if JJ was even there. I don't think he was. He's dead. All you have is Colby, and he wasn't there. But he did communicate regularly with Tylee. So I would think he could probably testify. It may be hearsay. I don't know how you...
I was just going to say, isn't that hearsay, though?
Yeah, but it's the only record you have of someone saying that there was no physical issues between Tylee and Charles, because they're going to try and argue that they were having these disagreements and this and that. Well, prove it. Prove that there were these disagreements, because there's probably more evidence to prove the other.
Yeah.
That there weren't these disagreements, that there weren't these fights, that he had no capability of chasing her down with a bat. That there's no way he would ever do that. Look at some of what has come out with the body cam stuff of him telling the police what a danger she is.
Right.
And how they're like, okay, well, we'll note that. And
then he's dead.
That to me has always been a real stick in the side of this case. And I don't think got the scrutiny that it deserved, the horrible police work in this. Or if it wasn't horrible police work, I don't know what else it was, because they walked away so many times from valid complaints about her. And then people
are raising warning signs that there's something wrong here.
And then all they do is go, and then they go and talk to her, and she's like, no, they're at a movie, and this is how it's going. Okay, you doing good? Okay, you have a good day, ma'am. Is that all it takes? Somebody says that the kids are missing. The grandparents are calling and saying the kids are missing. We don't know where they're at. And all it takes is mom to just say, they're somewhere else. Okay. That's your answer? That's all she has to say? You don't have to prove it? Eventually she did. But it's because it took forever to get there. I was shocked by that. How is this just the accepted answer that... I didn't even know that was a thing. If someone came and said, if my child was missing, and they came to me and I'm just hunky dory and where's the kid? Oh, they're at a movie with a friend. Okay. You answered the question. It's good. But the grandparents have been trying to reach them forever. Oh, well,
They're kids. They don't want to talk to their grandparents.
I think she did a job on those police officers. And when you watch some of that interrogation, I know it's trying to be spun another way that, this is a really thorough investigation. This could have been prevented.
But Tony, she looked very normal.
She did, but the evidence didn't back up anything.
Flip-flops. Yeah, if you saw her buying the flip-flops, you wouldn't think that she was a murderer.
No, you really wouldn't. But when your kids are missing and the grandparents are begging, and they should have verified the damn story.
Right.
But they didn't. And they didn't really do a whole lot of follow-up with Charles either. So, it does seem like the ball was dropped here quite a bit. Now, granted, they're dealing with a next-level crazy well beyond, I think, probably anything they've ever dealt with in the past. So I do give them that. But at the same point, look, I mean, this is what law enforcement is for. It's to kind of catch people doing bad acts while they're in them, because they're not always going to be obvious and out there in the open. And yet enough people raising the red flag going, something's wrong here. I don't know.
Goes back to the whole see something, say something. They said something.
They said a lot.
They did anything.
They said a lot and nothing was done. Now, could it be that literally their hands were tied because of the way that you have to, proceed with some of these things, and there are certain steps? Maybe. Some of it, probably. I don't think all of it. I think there's many areas where, had people done a little thorougher of a job, I think that less people would be dead. Maybe those kids, if they would have looked at this murder, because this happened before the kids. So, yeah, there's a lot there. There's a lot more in the trial. Of course, we're going to keep watching it for you, and we'll bring you some clips here at the end of the week of, I guess, the greatest hits. They're all a lot of duds so far. They're kind of like, it's interesting to watch her, but nothing insane has happened yet. But I think there's a good chance that could change very quickly.
Craving non-stop true crime updates? Press subscribe now and get the latest cases, analysis, and expert commentary delivered straight to your feed. Only from the Hidden Killers podcast and True Crime Today.